got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna talk fun, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop, D-R-O-P.
Hey, this is Taylor with Believe in the Run, and today I'm here with my good buddy Justin Hall. We just got back from a weekend together in Mammoth, which sounds like it's more like an anniversary trip, but it was really, we were out there for Mammoth Trailfest with Craft, and we had a blast, and we'd love to share that with you guys. But first, I want to just give you a little bit of a background on Justin himself. It's likely if you've been a Believe in the Run fan, you've seen him around because his pictures are, what did we figure out over the weekend? The kids say off the chain, or what were some of the other things?
I think the other thing was lit. I want to say.
Yeah,
that's what they still say. Yep.
At any rate, his photos are amazing. And every time, even before I met Justin, I would look at the photos after an event like New York or you were at Chicago, any event that you were at. You just have a really unique way of capturing the emotion that I know people feel and experience during runs. And so that's kind of your specialty. I don't want to take all of your introduction away from you, but that's how I knew of you even before we met before Western States. So, Justin, welcome to the drop.
Thank you very much, Taylor.
Yeah, what were you going to say?
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay. Well, I was going to say something.
Sure.
So, capturing emotion and unique photography like that matters to you. It's not just that you have the skill to do it, but that matters to you. How did you get to this point in your career where you can to me as an onlooker, you can kind of casually capture that? You're just kind of in the mix doing that. Where did that come from? How do you get to that kind of level of photography, I guess? But I know it comes from a spot of more than just wanting good photos. Can you give us a little background on you and getting into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, thanks for having me on. And it was so much fun this past weekend spending time with you. And I know we'll get into that, but just a little background on me. I started doing photography back like my sophomore year of college. And I was just like taking pictures of my friends. And then after school, I started getting into shooting weddings and whatnot. So I've always been in the business, I guess, for lack of a better term, of, capturing people, capturing emotions, capturing special moments. And I kind of was phasing out of the wedding thing. And I used to play competitive paintball, like tournament paintball.
Oh,
and
sweet.
Yeah, that was something that not a lot of people know about me, but I was traveling the country and playing tournaments, and but I was also working in the restaurant industry, so couldn't really get those weekends off anymore. But
wait, what was your gun of choice? Because I think most of us in our era, everybody had a paintball phase, and mine was very much a phase. Yours wasn't a phase, obviously. It was next level, but my brother kind of got into that too, and I got to like the spider something. I can't even remember the names of it, but it was really important at the time. So like, what was your gun of choice? And
yeah, so I started playing in the woods like everybody else probably, with like a Titman or a spider or things like that, just having some fun and hiding behind trees. And my friend had an old pig farm that we turned into like a paintball like field and things like that. So but once I got into tournament paintball, the teams that I was on, we would mainly have sponsors from Planet Eclipse. So their guns were like the Ego and the dude, it's been so long since I've played.
So really when it made the change from like into mechanical hardware within the guns, like that was a game changer that I wasn't willing to go with because it hurt too much for me.
Yeah, it's definitely costly, but thankfully I was on teams that had the sponsors for it and got a little bit of a break. And paint was actually the most expensive thing because you're spending $60 or $65 on a case. But anywho, so yes, it was an expensive hobby, expensive sport. With travel and practice every weekend, we were talking thousands of dollars a month. So I had to kind of make a choice, and I stopped playing paintball, but I wanted to remain in the space. So I was like, wait, I take photos and I like paintball. I understand the sport. And so I started doing paintball photography and I fell in love with it instantly. Didn't do it for too long, probably about a season and a half, maybe 2 seasons. And then kind of got out of the endurance space for a little bit. I went back to doing just weddings and portraits and things like that. And then I moved to Raleigh in 2020. And then there's a running store here. I was heavily into running at that point, and was looking for like the next thing. And there was a local running store called Runology, who recently closed, unfortunately. But I really liked their vision and how they took the creative eye and put it into both, merchandising, but as well as, highlighting events and, capturing these stories about these runners and things like that, and just really interested me. So I reached out and, did a couple events with them, and then basically worked freelance for them for a while, and was actually officially employed for a short period of time, which was great. But I still am doing things with Alex, the owner. But amidst that, fast forward to Chicago 2023. Yeah, a little bit. Hey, that was a good pun there. Fast forward to Chicago of 2023, and that's where I met Thomas. He actually interrupted a conversation I was having with my idol Kafuzi at the time, because I was in the running media space and I was like just enamored by him, and I was like, who is this guy? And met Thomas and found out about Believe in the Run a little bit more, and I told him what I was going to run. I was like, I think I can do a 4:30, and he's like, I think you're going to go faster. He's like, message me afterwards, and I said, okay. So then I ended up running a 4:18. It was like the best day ever. That was the day that the world record was set by Kiptum. Kiptum? Yes.
Yeah, Calvin
RIP.
Yeah.
Yep. And anywho, so he followed me on Instagram and saw that I did photos, and we went up for the winter grit party, and I just brought my camera, took some photos, and then he's like, you want to come to Boston? And I was like, okay. So that was like a 2-month thing, and that was my first real event with Believe in the Run, was Boston, and then I did Chicago. I did the Brooklyn half marathon. I did New York that year. And then this year has been even more. I did Miami marathon, Western States, Boston again. I'm not doing Chicago, hopefully New York, and then of course Mammoth. So I guess that was just a long way of saying, like, it's really been great, because when I capture people in their space, I always focus on the person first. Obviously, things like this weekend, we are in these incredible environments, right? And we want to make sure that we're capturing that too. But to somehow bring the person into the environment and to really evoke that, like, oh my gosh, like they're going through it, or wow, that's the most beautiful place that I've been, and there's a single runner like on this landscape of just infinite mountains rolling in the background, that's what the beauty is for me. And so whenever I see running photographers that really speak to me, it's the ones that are really focusing on just, capturing what those runners are going through, because we as runners know how it feels to go through those difficult moments and, on that tough terrain. And I don't think that I'm the most photogenic person when it comes to that. Every photo I've seen of me running, I'm like, nah.
All
but
of our
I know
down
that
steps. Get the best
yeah,
of us.
exactly. Yep. But I know that when I'm capturing, these athletes, I want to honor them in those moments and make them, as cool as they look. I want them to feel that way too when they review those photos. And yeah, it's just been kind of a beautiful thing. And running just happens to be a passion, and yeah, it just kind of worked itself out.
Yeah, and I think with pretty much any passion, but obviously we get it as runners. Like there's so many mirrors of life within running too, and I appreciate that when you can look at a photo and you can see determination on someone's eyes coming through, or you can see like the elation as they've reached the top, like those kind of things. And it takes more than just someone with like, I was just out there mostly with my iPhone taking photos. I can capture a shoe pretty decently, but I wouldn't have the skill or ability to really capture someone like you do in those efforts. So it's as much of a skill and art, and to be able to share that with someone, I always think it's so cool, especially from an appreciation standpoint of like That's not something that I can do. Not many people have that skill. Many people have cameras, but not many people have the ability to capture it like you. So from our weekend, we kind of have from day to day had our folders that of photos you had chosen, and I just kept when we weren't at an event, I just kept scrolling on my phone, looking at all these photos and like remembering how it was when I experienced it and how it looked in the photo and the emotion it brought out. And yeah, again, just like kudos to you and the skill it takes and the attention to detail. And I was going to mention, you had said it's the person first, and that's kind of a good segue into our Mammoth conversation, because I don't know how you felt exactly, but I felt like that was kind of the ethos of this whole event. For those who aren't familiar, Mammoth Trail Fest is a festival of trail running. It exactly as it sounds. There are other trail running festivals around the country. Not many of them are a festival in the true sense like Mammoth is. And I really think right at the center of it all is like the human experience. And you get that from the race directors. You have Hillary Yang, who's the assistant race director and director of the Mammoth 200, which is about to come this week. And then you have Tim Tollefson, who is he's the one with this was his brainchild, and he put into motion and has put a lot of his life into making this happen for people. And you can just feel that, again, it's human centered. Like, yes, everybody's going to get out there and do a beautiful, gorgeous run, but it's human centered. I don't know did you feel that at all while we were there?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I noticed was just how, and I don't want to like gas up Tim too much, because I think that he already gets it, but he's a really humble guy. And, every time I said, congratulations, Tim, like, this is an incredible weekend, he just said like, yeah, I have a great team, and that's a sign of a good leader in general. But I think like seeing, and I'm editing the video right now, and like, I'm just seeing all these clips of him high-fiving every single finisher that comes through those races, 4 days in a row, 6 different races. You know what I mean? Like, that's special,
more than an ultra.
And right. And personally, I've been a fan of Tim for a long time, because as soon as I found out about, really ultra running and trail running, and to see him be that person at the finish line, for all these people that are, there to, maybe they were there with their families, or they're just on vacation or whatever it might be. And they're like, hey, we can go do this and make a trip out of it. He made every single one of them feel special. The whole group made every single one of them feel special. And not just the runners and participants, but also, myself being, with you and in the media, and, all the vendors that were there. Like, they were all part of it, right? And even honoring the local tribes that were there, and really, making the time and the space to celebrate that, and to make sure that, the people that were there that weekend remembered why they were there and in the land that they were on. So it was just a super special weekend. I've been trying to decompress with it, because I got right back to work as soon as I got back here on Monday. But man, what a special time.
Weekends that you don't want to decompress from, though, because you just want it to keep going. When he has a way of, and we'll get into this too, of like I said, it just felt like a festival throughout the whole weekend. There was really no downtime, or the vibes never dropped. Like, it was just go, go, go from the moment it started, like that opening ceremony, followed up by a movie night leading into the next day's races. But before we even get to the event itself, you and I kind of had an iffy departure from Colorado trying to get to Mammoth. Mammoth is like, it's 5 hours from anywhere, it seems. Like, I live in a mountain town too, but I live at like 90 minutes from the airport. And in 30 to 45 minutes, you can get to, the nearest Target or Costco or something like that. Mammoth, you can't really do that. It is out there. And so to get there takes a lot of logistics and details. Thank you, Megan, for always getting that up for us.
Yes.
But when we woke up the morning of our travels, you had said that our flight was delayed. Not really a biggie, usually. But then we found out that that little delay bumped it just far enough over that we wouldn't make our second flight from San Francisco to Bishop, which is the closest airport to Mammoth, at least operating airport at that time. And so we would have missed it by like 6 minutes coming in, which is a problem because there's not regular flights or easy drives at all from San Francisco to Mammoth. And so we kind of scrambled, trying to keep our cool, figure out different flights. The only flight that was going to help us get to San Francisco in time really was the flight we were already on, and that actually didn't get us there in time, but thankfully we were able to figure out a different flight to get to San Francisco. But then, like, the journey didn't stop there. What happened in San Francisco?
Dude, I think I blocked that out of my memory because I'm trying to think about it right now. In San Francisco, so we had to change airlines. So we were originally flying out United from Denver, and then we got to San Francisco, and because we had flown Frontier, so according to San Francisco, we didn't fly there. So we aren't supposed to be in San Francisco. So then
they canceled
we go
our
to
whole United agenda, apparently.
Yeah. So then we get there, and we had probably 40 minutes from the time we landed to the time we need to get to the gate. And I don't know if anyone's been to the San Francisco airport, but it is huge. So we knew we had to. Yes, it's a long one. And
there has to be Strava
trolleys
in that airport, I would guess.
I should have started my watch, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And so we get to the counter, and they're like, yeah, we can't check you in for the flight. Like it got canceled or whatever. And we were like, wait, what? So now we scrambled to get there. We're right here. I'm standing here. Thankfully, had two very awesome customer service representatives that were on the phone, and they took care of us. But we had to book it over there for sure. And we made it. I think they were boarding when we got there, but we were a group like 3 or 4 or something like that. So we were fine. But when we were on that plane, I was like, oh, okay, finally. And, I had to apologize to the person sitting next to me because I was sweating profusely. And apparently I was sitting next to some legend on the plane.
So hot and humid. Yeah, a legend of Mammoth. I can't remember his name, but Tyler, who works with Jam Collective, supporting craft and the PR side of things, she was like, were you sitting next to so-and-so?
Some legendary climber. I can't remember his name, and I'm upset that I don't because I'm sure people will be like, oh, yeah, I know.
It would be nice to honor him. And they'll probably be able to tell us anyways if we're just talking about this guy.
Yeah.
But we made it on that plane. And with literally a minute to spare. But we made it and landed in Bishop, took our car, beautiful drive. It had just rained, so it washed all the mountains clean in the Eastern Sierras. And that was such a gorgeous drive from Bishop up to Mammoth. And I know this is for many of the listeners who know Andrew and Dina Castor, who live in Mammoth. So we flew into the town where they do a lot of their workouts and long runs. So they come down the mountain. Do you remember what altitude that was? 3,000, 4,000 feet maybe?
Yeah, I want to say it was 4,500 or something like that. Because, by the time we got to Mammoth, I think we were at 82 or something. I can't remember. Yeah.
So you go from this rolling sagebrush desert with these big mountains looming in the background, and we go right up to the base of the mountains in Mammoth. And so it was such a picturesque drive, and it'd be awesome to go back and do just vacation there and running all the trails rather than just the ones that we were on, which were awesome too. We'll get to that. But it's just such a gorgeous place. A mountain town, in the true sense, just small, quaint, and beautiful. I don't know. What else would we add to the town of Mammoth? I
mean, I tried to compare it to the Palisades in Tahoe, when we were there at Western States. But I think that doesn't do it justice. It had much more of a European feel, a European chalet kind of feel.
Yeah, especially where we were and those where the races started and ended in the village at Mammoth or Mammoth Village, one or the other. But it very much had that European beautiful vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way they had it set up too was it was perfect. They had the flags everywhere, and I know that we'll get into the races and everything, but there were moments where it was it felt like a UTMB finish type thing. Obviously not with the same amount of people that are there,
of course.
it kind of had like that Chamonix finish, like with the clock tower in the back, and it was just a very European kind of experience. But yeah,
because it's
so
out
much
of
fun.
the main ski village, which are all kind of based off of European vibes, and that's exactly what Tim wants with this. Of like, he's been an athlete for a long time and has experienced a lot of these European races where trail running is so much more established than it is in the United States. And so it's fun that you pick up on that, because that was exactly his goal with designing this in this particular spot, of like an aesthetic route, all the bells and whistles at the start finish area, making it a party, having like the big arch where you finish and start at, and all that is very Euro on purpose. And so, yeah, and I agree. Having been to UTMB, it felt like a little mini European trail race, which is an awesome vibe. And it helps too. Of like, I was impressed. Like, we're always impressed with how Hoka really does things up. Like, they know how to market. And when you go to certain events that have the support of a big brand, this was supported by Kraft, and they did a great job too. Like, everywhere you went, there's Trailfest and Kraft flags up. They have the the pylons, the big arch, and it was just really tastefully well done. Like, you just felt special because you were there in the midst of that and all that, how they did it up, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's go
awesome.
into that next day. They had a starting ceremony and a movie night and stuff that first night, and then right away the next day was the start of the whole Mammoth Trailfest race series, which was the Dragon's Back Ascent. And it wasn't very Eastern Sierra's weather during that time. It was, yeah. How was it for you waking up in the morning to that dreary?
It wasn't the worst thing because I knew that I didn't have to run. But I know that prior to the race, I'm like, this is going to be like a really interesting experience, because yes, you can go to the top there and see all the views and everything, but like, to know that you runners were going to be facing not just 2,400 feet of climb in a 5K, but also 40-mile-an-hour winds and 38 degrees and sideways rain, like hitting you in the face. That's when we talked about earlier about like the emotion and the character in these photos and everything. That's like a photographer's dream, really. The only thing that wasn't the photographer's dream was the risk of affecting my camera gear or anything like that. So that was my only concern with the rain, because I didn't really bring any camera protection, but everything worked out fine. But wow, what a day that was. So
It was
what was
dramatic, to
what was
say the
your
least.
thought coming into that? Like,
Yeah,
knowing
I mean,
that the weather was going to be like that.
Part of it was like, just recently here in where I live in Colorado, I live at basically the same altitude as Mammoth. So I think Mammoth, you said, is 82. I'm at 84. And so just going up in the mountains, the higher up you were, like when we left my house to go to the airport, it was like 31 degrees, right? And so I just know the higher up you go, the more potential for being cold it is. And so that was on my mind for sure, that it could have potentially turned into snow the higher up we go, because we went up to over 11,000 feet, the top of Mammoth Mountain, which all of the races except for like the kids race and the 10K, which is both are unique events on their own. Like, they're the only two that don't summit Mammoth Mountain. And so this was kind of like the kickoff, the shortest one, straight to the top. You're just going up. And so, like, I was okay with not bringing as much gear. I took all the mandatory stuff that Tim recommended. Like, I had a jacket, I had my phone, I had a space blanket tucked in my Raid belt. But I knew I wasn't going to necessarily need it, because one, I like thrive in the cold weather, and two, it's basically like a 5K effort when you do something like this. And so I wasn't too worried until I was stopped running, which thankfully you guys had gotten up the mountain before I was done, or right as it seems. Yeah, and so like when we got there, I just chose to run over to the start just to get a nice warm up. Having been injured for a while now, I just wanted to get a proper warm up before I huck myself up a mountain. And it was a beautiful, just like paved path all the way from Mammoth Lakes to the campground where this started. And it's right at the bottom. It's called the Dragon's Back Ascent because you just go up the Dragon's Back feature on Mammoth Mountain. Just basically a spine on one of the sides of the mountain. And so I got a nice little warm up in the Craft Explorer 2, which I think I have around here. Oh, yeah. Which I do want to take a moment and like just shout out this shoe a little bit. We had dinner with some of the craft folks. Met so many great people out there, and they just kind of have talked about they're a fairly young running shoe brand, like 5 years in terms of running shoes. And we've been in a lot of their shoes so far. But the Craft Explorer, the original, was like kind of a breakout shoe for them in some ways because the midsole and the outsole were so unique for the time. It's been a couple years since that one came out, but it just had like that just the smooth transition, really nice cushioned and energetic foam. It's quite stable underfoot. It like had all those ingredients, but the upper did nothing for you. Like they call it a gravel shoe, which really means like light trail, but I wouldn't even take it on light trail because my foot would slide around so much in it. And so they took that kind of feedback really seriously and came out with the Explorer 2, which that was my first run in it, just warming up over to the Dragon's Back Ascent. And they still kept a really nice like upper on this, just a really nice knit mesh upper, soft, comfort oriented like they wanted the first one, but it has a whole lot more structure. And so like I did want to say that because I've been excited to talk about this shoe and I haven't made many posts or anything about it, but it's like everything that was great about it and then enhanced by this really nice fit. So I was really impressed, and I just finished all my miles in it, so that's basic rundown of the shoe, I guess. And so it was a great one to get over there with, but then I ended up switching shoes because it was like so rainy, and it wasn't too bad when we were at the lake. It was drizzly and rainy, but the further up we went, it was more wind, more fog, more rain, and so I opted to go with the Craft Pure Trail Pro, which I've also been open that isn't my favorite shoe for some respects, but it worked really well because I was able to really dig in with this like really quite aggressive Vittoria outsole. But it worked for going up the mountain and digging into the mountain. So all that to say, I wanted to highlight those shoes because they worked really well for their purposes this weekend for sure. But the race,
I wanted to, because like hearing you talk about the shoes, I just wanted to highlight in general just all of the things that we were able to try from Craft, all of their new apparel, plus the shoes that I got, which I'm still not going to remember the name of. Do you remember the name of them?
Nordlight Ultra 2.
Yes. Everything was just incredible. I've never worn anything Craft related before, and I forgot to say at the beginning, too, that I do some light shoe reviewing for Believe in the Run as well in the big guy category. But if I had to do a big guy review of the apparel, everything just fit perfectly. You know, I think I did like a little fashion show in the hotel room. I'm like, Taylor, look at this. So huge shout out to the Craft apparel ways, too, because that's the only thing that really kept me warm enough on the top of that mountain, too. And once you see the footage there, it was pretty rough, but
it was gnarly.
Huge shout out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But so the race, so we get there and we see you at the top, but what was like the last, let's say quarter of that race like, because that's when it really, you're above the tree line, you're fully exposed. What was that last like quarter of the race like for you?
Yeah, and it's a fairly short race in terms of mileage, but I would say I'm a fairly good mountain runner. It's what I do with my life. And just coming off of Leadville training, my legs felt good. Like they felt strong going up the mountain. But it's so unique in that it's like a 5K or a 10K effort. And I haven't done anything like that in a long time. And so I was basically like at the top end of my aerobic ceiling for most of the race, most of the 45 minutes I was there. Wow. And, I'm an adult male who does mountain running, and there's just a lot of specific skills, and really, you have to be in really good shape to do this well, to push really hard. And I got beat by a 12-year-old girl. which I say that and pause just for dramatic effect. But I've known about this
Yeah.
girl. Her name is Pema, and she's from Ecuador, and she's a trail running phenom. And I had no shame of letting her pass me about halfway up once we started getting into the Alpine, because a lot of it was like fairly steep terrain, like 15 to 30% is what most of it was, which is fairly steep. A lot of switchbacks going up, but once you start hitting that ridge, that true Dragon's Back ascent ridge, and what this is known for, you get a little bit of scramble action, some rocks, and that's when it was really starting to get like cold and windy because you didn't have the protection of the trees and you're exiting out of tree line. And then you also kind of wrap around on the side of the mountain of where the wind was coming from anyway. So you're getting a little bit of that too. And so like I was in a t-shirt and I'm someone who really runs warm. So overall temperature was pretty good, but anywhere that was skin exposed, yeah, that was like getting red and getting cold. And so that was right about when Pema, I think it's Pema, she had passed me, and I'm just like in awe and just like kind of went at her clip for a little bit, just kind of enjoying being around a prodigy like that. And so then she kept going, and so that just like gave me some real encouragement of like, okay, stride it out, switch up your technical skill. I haven't been running a lot of peaks harder lately, and so it was really a lot of fun in that really weird sense of like you're really pushing the end of your aerobic limit, and yeah, it was just fun. And then you kind of get into these clouds and what they call kitty litter out in the eastern Sierras, which is exactly as it sounds, just kind of like this sandbox as you get above tree line, and that's what the trail is like. So it doesn't exactly hold underfoot, but thankfully it was raining, so like when you press down, it kind of compressed the soil around your foot, and you could get a little more purchase into the ground. And so like all these different nuances of terrain and weather and competition and your own personal fitness, like that's really fun to all come together in a race experience like this. And so once I ended up coming up, which was almost to the peak, you can just hear Tim Tollefson's air horn or bullhorn just going like whoop whoop whoop, like just way out in the distance. I couldn't hear any people or anything yet. Can just hear that going off every now whoop 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 through the clouds. And so I'm just like, you got to be close, right? But it was ended up being like almost a quarter mile getting across the ridge, and then you have this final little push up to the top, which is really killer, but you can't help but run it because everybody's there. It's like, I don't know how windy it was, but it was very windy, very cold, and you just had to push up that last part because you just feel really encouraged and wanted to be done at that point. But for any of you that want that, like, sub hour potentially, it's probably going to be, for most people, like the winner was what, 35-ish minutes?
Yeah, I think it was like yep, that sounds about right.
And so like that's super elite. Like that's very, very good, top in the world type. World class trail running. And so
was it
like
Andy that had won, Taylor, or did Andy
so
get second?
Andy didn't win that. He took second that day, and he was like 37
But Andy
minutes.
had just said that he just ran his first sub 4 minute mile.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And he got second place. You know what I mean? Like, talk about aerobic threshold. Like, this guy is, an elite miler, basically, right? If you can rep sub 4, you're an elite miler.
And multi-time Team USA representative for like World Cup type events for trail running. And so like those are the type of runners that are at the front end. But then you also might have someone, that really every step could be hiking, and that's totally fine. Like hiking is very much a part of trail running, and I want to throw that out there for everybody to hear because, again, even someone like me who, like, that's pretty much all I do is trail run in the mountains, and probably about 50%, at least time-wise, 50% of that was hiking for me, just power hiking and going for it. And so it's just one of those things that's like a skill, fun new skill. It's a very different kind of race, and it was a great way to kick off Mammoth Trailfest because, like we said, it's very Euro vibe. This is a very Euro style race, very staple race for most events in Europe. So it was a ton of fun, but then it was really cold and Tim needed pants. Come on.
Oh my gosh, Tim was wearing shorts the whole time up there. And yeah, he was running with the runners and stuff and like running him into the finish line as he did for most every race. But
Yeah.
it looked like he had like a sunburn. Like, so whenever he would like squat down, his shorts would go up a little bit and he would just have a line where it was all red from what's exposed and then
Yeah,
all white.
exactly.
And you got him a cup of hot chocolate at one point, which was really
Well, you
nice
just
of
needed
you.
to warm up somehow. Just like,
Yep. I think you got a
drink
sip and a
this.
half in before you got back to cheering for everybody. But
Yeah, and
yeah.
and that's something that's phenomenal. And you already alluded to, like, he's out there for every single racer from the first to the last, ringing his big Swiss bell, getting people across the line, no matter the weather. He wants to be out there showing his support and experiencing it with them. So that, I mean, that was like utmost respect for sure. And I already had a ton of respect for the guy. But yeah, he definitely needed pants next time. Ooh, those craft pants with the Polar Tech lining. Oh, dude, I wore those like all weekend, the fleece ones.
Yeah.
And to your point of with craft gear, we're going there one more time.
fine.
They're really known, if like in the U.S. at least, they're known more for like their Nordic gear, Nordic skiing gear, or their cycling gear. That's where they've been really popular. But it's always been like super quality stuff. Like many people kind of herald Arc'teryx as kind of that pinnacle level of quality. They are definitely up there with that in terms of performance, quality, and just like comfort, I would say. And we test a lot of gear around here, but craft is definitely up there. So bringing that heritage in the shoes and attention to detail gets me excited because they're only 5 years old in that sense.
But they've been around since the 70s, right?
Yeah, totally. Maybe even longer,
Yeah.
actually. And so,
I thought that when we had dinner, they said it was like 1970 or something, and they were just celebrating
Okay.
like 50 years, or I can't remember, but
yeah.
yeah, pretty
Exciting.
awesome. And
Either
I hadn't
way.
heard of him until I saw Tommy Ribs like running on some
Yeah.
Flagstaff hill like in a photo shoot, and I was like, "What is craft?" And yeah, apparently they were just big in Europe, like everything else. Once
Yeah.
it makes it over to the U.S., we're like, "Wait, what is this?" And then you realize that they have this rich history of endurance apparel and equipment, and you're like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, pretty
Yeah,
cool
so
stuff.
it like makes sense to me, like even though they are so young in the footwear side of it, since we talk so much about footwear, of like, but they're really trying to learn the game and cross their T's and dot their I's, and I respect that a lot. Like they've really, from iteration to iteration, there's some very noticeable enhancements. Let's go
Okay,
to
so
yeah.
yeah.
You want to go to day 2?
Well, we can't forget the 10K, which was that
Oh,
night.
was that day 1?
Yes, it was. Yeah, because it
cow.
was still raining. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the 10K that started at was it 6:45 or 7:45?
Something
I
like
think it was
that. Right
6:45.
as the sun was really close to the horizon.
Yeah, so it was a night trail race, 10K. The first like probably half of a mile was road. It took off from the race. It took off from the same spot that the 50K, the kids race, and the 26K all started from. And
And this is like, they call
yeah.
it Trailfest HQ or, you know, the village. And so all of it, all the party happens there for sure.
Yeah, and just it was probably, I don't want to say it was the most well attended one, but I think from the compression of all the runners and when they'd be finishing, it probably had the largest crowd as far as when it started
Yeah,
and
that's a
finished,
good
because
point.
everyone finished in a much tighter bracket. The 26K was close too, but the 10K it was lined all the way down. And just the cheering and just especially at nighttime, and everyone's running down with headlamps. And
Yeah.
for some people, we talked to that one woman. It was her first ever trail race, and she had her whole
Yep.
family there. And you know, it was just once again just one of those really special things. And you had people finishing in sub 45 minutes, and then you had people finishing at an hour and a half, so
Yeah.
there was that beautiful range of abilities, and people just kind of dipping their toes in the water. Maybe they're just some crew members that had come to support their family or friends that were running the 50K or 26K, and it was a great opportunity for them to get the chance to experience the event and experience the weekend without interfering with any of their other responsibilities that they have. So
Yeah.
very well designed from that aspect for sure.
Totally. And I think like you said, this is definitely the most accessible event. It still had around like 700 feet of gain, and most of it was on single track trail. But it was that California carpet, which I thought I had kind of experience, at the Western States, being over there at Olympic Village. Yeah, Olympic Village. But that's still like very much alpine environment. But I really found out what California carpet was, because it's like even smoother than a gravel path. Like it's just so nice, feels so good and smooth and non-technical. So from even that standpoint of like just getting a flowy, fun night run, if you've never done a night run, this is a great way to like try it out with a lot of your best friends. The elevation is spread out over, around 6 miles. So it's not too much, but you're getting a good dose of that. And yeah, I guess I'm just reinforcing what you're saying of like, it's a really fun race. I actually kind of want to go back there and do this one too, just because of the vibes around it. Like you said, it was just like, felt so great from start to finish. And once they all left, we still all were there partying, having beer, enjoying company, because everybody just stays there for the finish too. And so like, it was just a fun, unique event to throw in the mix that I didn't really expect. But you're totally right. Anybody who's there for the event otherwise, or maybe didn't get into the 26K or the 50K or the DBA as they call it, like those are the 3 events that sell out almost immediately upon registration opening. This is a great event that would be accessible to everybody, and I think fun for even like expert trail runners. There were elite trail runners there, and your first timers. And so I was really impressed with that race, and had a little bit of FOMO even after I was done running the DBA.
Yeah, I think you tried to talk me into doing it, and
I
I was not in a place to do that. But I think the next time, if we do end up going again, which I hope we do, that I can throw down on that one. Definitely not good for the mount. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we do not have California carpet. I don't even know what I would call it, but not many elevation opportunities. So the 10K probably a nice little foray into trail running at elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got the privilege to follow that up by just like watching everybody hang out. We were able to like hand out medals, enjoy that with Billy Yang. Thanks for bringing us into that experience, and just like enjoy the race vibe from that perspective too, and then hand off kind of what we were doing and go eat with the craft team at a fun restaurant. Like it was meant something to you.
It
Like,
did, yeah. So it's owned by the Voltaggio brothers, and I've been a fan of them back when I was in culinary school and everything. And Top Chef was really big, and they were both on Top Chef, and they were just like the ones that were like pushing the limits. They were doing like molecular gastronomy and all these like really crazy things. And I actually got to work in an event with Michael
Sounds like a gut egg,
Voltaggio.
molecular gastronomy.
Yeah, it's mostly just like messing with like the chemical compounds of food, and using different additions and substrates to create like different textures and things like that. So I'm not going to get too in the weeds on that, but yeah. So I worked an event with him one time. I worked on Cape Cod for a summer, and there was this like really fancy event that was taking place, and all these chefs came from all over the country, and he was one of them. And he did this dish where it was like a pave of skate wing, which is basically like, it's like you like glue together 2 of the skate wings. They use meat glue. Skate is like a stingray. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah,
I am getting into the weeds on this. And the sauces were literally powdered. So there was like a caper and mustard sauce, and they were powders. But when you eat them and they rehydrate, it just, anyway. So I worked with him, super cool guy, hung out with him after the event. And so then when I saw that this restaurant was opened by them, I was like, that seems pretty interesting. And then when I found out that we were having dinner there, I was very excited. So
yeah, and it was good. Like I'm not gonna lie, it was good. I think I was enjoying the company more than focusing on the food. Because it was just really nice. Like this is one of those things that we get the privilege to do, of getting to know a lot of the people in the background of a brand, and so we just got to connect on a human level, talking about families, and you were talking about golf and like some exciting things, like they're the main sponsor of this brand new soccer team in Oregon. Yeah, Oregon.
Yeah, they just announced that like yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
I saw.
And so, and we were in this like warm little bubble. All the while, a lot of finishers were finishing the race like right in front of us. It was such a great vibe. What did you get for food?
I got swordfish that came with like these beautiful pillows of gnocchi and some broccolini, and there was like a lemon butter caper sauce of sorts. It took me probably like 30 minutes to eat it because, to your point, I did not stop talking like the whole time. I don't know, like how often are you going to be in the room with like that group of people? You know, like we had this, the CEO of the U.S., we had the director of marketing, the director of the brand director, and you know, and design leads, like all of those folks, and it was just really cool to be able to share and just, like, to your point too, though, like not just talk shop the whole time, but really just to like get to know each other.
Not even running the whole time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We barely, I don't even think we barely talked about running. Like we just talked about just life, and it's just those events. And I think that's what I felt most of that weekend too. And kind of going back to what we were talking about is just like the people first piece of things. Like, you know, that's what I think the beauty of this kind of event is everybody's accessible, right? So when you go to a major marathon, for instance, like a Boston, everyone's kind of spread out, right? And, you know, the elites stay at one hotel, and, you know, all the directors stay at another one, and there's different spaces for people to, you know, be wined and dined at the finish line or whatever it might be. But here, like, everyone was just there, right? And, you know, Nico and Nicholas were both at the Dragons race that you ran, right?
Yep.
And everyone's there. They're working the tents. They're talking to customers, and I think that's one of the coolest things about this event too. Is that, you know, I met a couple of my heroes, not just Tim, but also David Laney, and just, you know, been following him for a long time too. And Billy Yang, who's a running media, you know, savant that really set the path for me to want to do this. Savant. And then even Hillary, she's an incredible photographer, and talking just with that, and then Mountain Outpost, and, you know, Jamil was there, and it's just all those people are there, and those are like all of like your heroes, right? And so it was just cool to be able to kind of bump shoulders with them, and it was just a very human experience, you know.
And I feel like this, like the trail space lends itself to all that anyways. But I felt like Mammoth itself, and just like, again, all the attention to the details really highlighted the best things about trail running, which definitely includes this like one ecosystem for everybody to be in. Yeah, it's, and, you know, even though we were there with Craft, I never felt like there was an exclusivity because of, you know, we're there with the presenting sponsor or anything. Like, it's just trail running, right? We're all just there to trail run. And that means something similar and different to everybody. But, yeah. So that night was great. Went home with a full belly. I didn't sleep well because I started to get this, apparently, which is this cold that I'm now still really, hopefully my sexy voice is on, you know?
Like Phoebe Buffet.
But I don't think so. It's really
Hello, my
nasally.
babies.
So I started getting this cold and not feeling great, and I slept terribly most nights that we were there, which happens at altitude,
same.
but I live at altitude, so I don't have that excuse. But then next day is the early race of the 50K, which is the longest race of the weekend. I was going to say of the event, but that's no longer true because the Mammoth 200 is going to be starting with just, I don't even think we can talk about that. It's just too much for me right now to wrap my head around. But the 50K,
there were some people that were doing the Triple Crown, so running all three races, and they're going to be doing the 200 this upcoming weekend.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so the Triple Crown is gnarly, and each one of these races can be gnarly enough because you're summiting a mountain besides, again, the kids run or the 10K, which 10K is, you know, awesome trail run enough. But the 50K is the longest race of this weekend, and it, again, starts and ends in the village. A lot of people are down there, even though it's a 7:30 a.m. start. And, like, you have, again, that elite field that's not at most trail races around the country. You have a really nice, stout elite field. And then you also have people who are starting their first 50K. So you have the gamut. And once they started, it was just like a full stream of people. Like I was going to say, there's not many races that I can think of, at least trail races, that have had this many people. But didn't they say it was like the largest 50K in the country?
Yeah. Tim announced that on before the 26K that it was the largest 50K in the country so far this year.
Yeah, which is unique because most places in the U.S., which is different than Europe, but most places in the U.S., most of the trail races are run on National Forest Service or some kind of county parks, and there's always limitations on the amount of people. Typically, it's around like 150 people if you're like a favorite event. And so that makes it really limited, sometimes like up to 300 people, which I think is like around Western states. They've kind of proven it over the years, so they can have like allowed up to 300 people. But it's really rare to get into like the 800 some people that this 50K had. So it's like gives you that experience of being out in the wilderness, but you're never alone, which is...
And a 12-hour cutoff too, which was very generous from Mr. Tollefson. That is, once again, showing that this is a weekend for everybody, right? Because, you had Chad Hall that absolutely crushed the race and, even like
Record
rolled his
time
ankle
again.
and crushed his own record from last year. But then you had people that were finishing in that golden hour, which was incredible to be at. That were finishing 11 hours and I forget, I think the last finisher was like 11 hours and 42 minutes or something like that. I'd have to fact check that. But it was just such a great day.
And again, Tim, this isn't the Tim show, but he was at the finish line for every single one of those people.
Yep.
And to be fair, Hillary and Billy were there too.
Hillary was too.
They were all
and
there,
Billy.
really just encouraging everybody. But really, the race of the weekend, let's be honest, was at 10:30 that day. We stayed down in the village to experience this one. And it's the kids 1K. And talk about a fierce start line.
Oh my goodness, those kids were like so stoked, and in going back to the Tim did a really great race briefing the first night there, and there was a kid that was running in the race that asked if there would be a GPX file for the 1K that they were doing, and I haven't checked yet, but he said that it was good. Tim said it was going to be on the website by the next morning, but these kids, like some of them were like in it, like totally in it. And it was,
I saw Ryan Thrower holding the video camera as he was, the race started and trying to lead the kids out. And he had to like hoof it forward. He couldn't like focus on the camera behind him. He had to be looking forward and going because they took off.
But gosh, that was so much fun, and my face hurt just from like smiling so much because you had the kids that were coming across that were like, yeah, I've run before or whatever. And then you had the kids coming across that were like, I think that I saw 4 butterflies on this run. Yeah. Oh yeah. There were some kids that were afraid of Wooly for sure. And then, you had the parents running with the kids and, little toddlers that were, they'd take 3 steps and fall, but they made it across. And, one of the finishers, and I believe I got this on video, so I'm really hoping that it makes it into the final one, but a dad was there waiting for his son, and he must not have been more than 3 years old, maybe 4 years old, and the father just grabbed him and just like held him real tight and was just like, I am so proud of you. And like it was just like, it's just so cool to... I always say whenever you're losing faith in humanity to go spectate a race of some sort. They say like marathon, but just to see like, this is maybe these kids' first experience with running, and to know that like it's such an accepting and incredible place where they're celebrated and high-fived and they can get a picture with Wooly, and I think it was just really, really special, especially with the adaptive athletes too. It was really great to see them come across and also help hand out medals afterwards. And it was what a treat that was. There. Yeah. Billy's buddies. I think I needed some t-shirts, Billy's buddies, but and Billy was great. Oh my gosh. Billy was so great with the kids too, and making them feel, important. And, it was just a really, really great event. Super fun.
It was one of those events, like, I'm always having a family, like, I'm always looking for, like, logistically easy events to go to, and that's usually centered around my own personal race, but more logistically easy for the family to crew and do this, things for them to do maybe while I'm racing. But this is one, like, after witnessing that race, it's like there really is something for the whole family here. Like, you could come on your own and have a great time and everything's in one place. You could come with your whole family and it's the same thing. You can have a great time. Everything's in one place, and there really is something for everybody to participate. So I'm already thinking about next year of like, how can I get back there with my whole family and each of us run a race, maybe even multiple, who knows? But it was just like, again, like the vibes were high all weekend with every race, but then to be able to like, no matter how you're experiencing it, whether dirtbagging in a van or, we had a pretty nice setup. Thank you, Tim, for our room and like kind of doing it in that posh way. Like there's something for everybody the whole time. And yeah, I just like, that's what I keep coming back to on this particular event.
Yeah.
And not to mention, like, we didn't have to go anywhere to spectate the 50K if we didn't want to, because they have a big screen right there down at the finish line that Mountain Outpost was doing their live coverage of the event, and just like crazy. They're out in the wilderness and they're getting these amazing drone footage and like follow cams on the mountain bikes. Just really like, it's like, actually, you used to, let me go back a little bit. Just a few years ago, I Run Far was like the only way. And I didn't have Twitter, but I would, go on to Twitter just for any particular trail running event, because that's how you would get your updates. And you just have to wait for it. Top mail, second mail, you get a little blurry picture plus who it was, and that's it. And nowadays, we can follow along with the whole dang thing. And it's like actually entertaining because you have some great people talking about the race all the while, some commentators. I mean, and I'm a trail running fan. Maybe that's just me getting excited from where we were and now where we're at. But what do you think about it? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think about we talked about this in the hotel room, I think, after that event specifically. And we were talking about, like, the Western States stream. I think it was like 4 years ago when they first really jumped into trying to live stream it. And, they did the best that they could, right? But, it's such limited service there where, fast forward, this past year's Western States stream was, exponentially better, if not almost perfect. But then you think about this event, and there was a freaking big screen on the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Like there was like a 10 foot by 20 foot large screen that was streaming, that was just showing the stream. So if people had athletes that were running, or if people were at the top crewing or volunteering, they could watch the whole race unfold. I mean, and that's like, I mean, you had like the movie theater set up down in the village, but to have a full screen up at the top of that mountain, to be able to, that's next level. Like that's pretty
over
cool.
The top in a good way. Like, and that's another one of those things of like, that's very Euro. Like, because many trail races in Europe are like even televised, like just turn on your TV, don't even have to go to YouTube. And so like, this is, again, getting that kind of European sense of trail racing and viewership, which is really impressive.
The 50K was awesome. Obviously watching Chad finish and break his own record, and then you had Clara finish, and she broke the course record that had been set either the year or the year before. I don't know if it was last year or the year before that. And she crushed it, and just watching them come across was super fun. And then
Chad Hall ran many actually of like the top 5 athletes on both sides ran the Dragon's Back Ascent the day before as well. So doing this triple crown.
Chad was supposed to do the triple crown, but he rolled his ankle pretty bad. So but he did a lot on the 50K day. He was floating. And also I didn't even know that Ryan Hall had a brother until this weekend.
Yeah, when we talk about
and
Chad
he
Hall,
also is apparently an incredible runner. So I guess, I mean, my last name's Hall, but I haven't inherited those running genes. But yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, that's really cool. Like one of the legends in American distance running, Ryan Hall. This is his younger brother. If they're side by side nowadays with or
Ryan's
because he's
new
in his trail
endeavors.
era now, not just
Yeah.
lifting, but he's definitely in his trail era. They're definitely brothers, and they definitely both run as if they're from the same family. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And just like, never mind the flowing blonde hair, like that stride is just like
Oh
I
my
could watch
gosh.
that on repeat. That could be just like,
Mike, can you please let your heel lift go down a little bit? Like
Yeah.
I tried to do it, and like
Show me that you're
my
tired.
hamstring cramped, like just picking my foot up that high.
Yeah.
And he's just like gliding. It almost was like very Walmsley-esque, like that.
Very
It doesn't
much
even
so.
seem like his foot's making contact with the ground. Just that really smooth, and it didn't change the whole time. Like from, I mean, he was limping a bit after he rolled his ankle, but outside of that, so. Shout out Chad.
Yeah. Go Chad.
Really great race. Shout out Sam, the second place finisher. He also did incredible. Noah, he was the third place finisher. He was incredible. Really overall, just a great effort from everyone. And what a beautiful day too. Very
Oh, yeah.
different from the weather the day
The
before
contrast
that.
of day 1 and day 2 was like so different. You had Seattle and then true California.
Yeah. So then, we got pizza that night, I think, right?
More than
we got
likely,
pizza like
'cause
every.
we had lots of pizza.
We had
Too
so
easy.
much pizza.
I didn't think I
Our
could
hotel
get sick
room
of
looked like
pizza,
a
but-
college dorm room.
Oh gosh, yeah. All
Smelled
of our
like it, too.
boxes. Yeah, maybe. That's beside the point. That's understood, isn't it? Yeah. Probably got pizza. Probably got a
Yeah.
couple beers. But then next morning, another set of races. And so this is
26
kind of
day.
like, the elite race of the weekend. So each race has prize money, which is great. That's a rare thing in the U.S. to have a significant amount of prize money. And each race, the Dragon's Back Ascent, the 50K, and the 26K, so all of them that are involved in the Triple Crown and the Triple Crown all have prize money. And so, like, that's potentially significant for some of the athletes that are racing. Because not only do you have the elites that might have a signed contract that's really helping them with all these races, but you also have these like low-key crushers who may like be able to make something from themselves because of a race and an opportunity like this. So the 26K definitely highlighted that, of like getting some of those names up there, and they do a full loop from town up to the top of Mammoth Mountain again and back down, a little bit different than the 50K, of course, but that was fun to watch.
Yeah, we got a nice little bird's eye view of the starts for those two, because we went up onto the mountain outpost setup, and we were able to kind of look down and
Across
watch
that
the start.
bridge.
And oh my gosh, like just the rush of people. And there was more 26K than there were 50K runners.
Yeah, I think over the weekend there
And-
was around 2,500 runners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which-
another
yeah.
super fun start, and a little bit later start, which was nice too. So we could sleep in a bit, because I think we popped a couple Tylenol PMs that night before
definitely.
that, and just crushed it. Finally slept a little bit. And yeah, what a day. And we ended up going to the top, which was great. We went up with Clara and David from Craft, and we rode the little trolley up. What is that called? Not trolley.
The
gondola.
the gondola.
Up to the top. The gondola. And yeah, we hung out with them a little bit, and got to kind of talk just about Clara's running the 200 this weekend, so shout out her, like good luck.
Yeah.
But I can't even imagine. But yeah, it was just great to spend some time with them, and then we got to the top, and we heard the band basically right away.
Yeah, the high school band was
the
just-
high school band was just rocking out up top. It was like 50 kids. They had a full drum kit, they had guitars, they had a bass guitar,
What's
a
that?
tuba.
What's that? It's not just a tuba though. Is it like a sousaphone or something like that? The one that like wraps around your body, the marching band style.
Yeah, it's a tuba. It's a marching band. It's specifically a tuba made for marching bands. Because if
Okay.
you were to hold the tuba, like you have to, it's a seated instrument. But if you have
Yeah.
it, I was also in band, so
Okay.
yeah. But that's
You're such
another
a nerd.
podcast.
I love it.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Welcome to
But
Marching
yeah.
Band.
Yeah, hello. I was like, give me that horn, kid. No, I didn't actually say
Let me
that.
show you a little something.
Yeah, no, but that was super fun. And anytime the runners were coming through, they were just crushing it. But A lot more spectators up there this time.
Yeah,
which was
it,
cool.
It was full. Like there was hundreds of people up there, like kind of going over the crest because you got to see them come up to the high point, which is the same high point of all the races, and then like being able to switch that gear from like just grind because they all came up Dragon's Back, the same thing that I came up, and so like just losing all your wind trying to get up Dragon's Back because never mind you're at altitude as well. And then seeing them like gain life at the aid station and start booking it back down toward town.
Yeah, it was cool to see that, and I followed a couple of the runners after the ascent. I did not run with them. You ran with a couple people, I remember that, but
during the 50K.
And I followed them down the hill. Yeah, and I followed a couple of the folks down the hill for the 26K. One of them being Pema, which was really cool, and her dad kind of crewed her really briefly at the top, and it's just so beautiful, man. I just keep thinking about like the panorama view of the Eastern Sierras, and just oh my gosh, I could just like sit there and just stare at that all day long, and then you have this just epic race happening.
I know. I kept getting distracted between the two, like looking off in the distance, and then like, oh, here's a few more athletes, cheer, 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 looking off in the distance. What were those spires called again? The minarets.
An M, didn't it? Yeah, minarets. Yep.
Yeah, and just
super
it's just
jagged,
so dramatic. It's the alpine experience that everybody wants, really, and those like quintessential views and feeling as you're up at altitude above tree line like that. And I mean, you didn't have to run to get up there. We took the gondola, and like so it's like even if you're just spectating, like that's a worth it part of this whole weekend, just to take the gondola up and experience that at the top.
Or volunteering too. Like I saw a lot of runners. There were a couple people that had run the 50K the day before that were at the top, or at the peak volunteering at that aid station for the 26K. So you can make it a full weekend, right? And,
totally.
So because it does take a bit to get out there, right? Like I don't want to pretend that it was a super easy cakewalk for travel. Yes, we had our flights and stuff, but it's not the most accessible place in the world. But once you get there, you know, especially if you stay in the village area, you know, you have every restaurant and all the food that we had was so good.
Just right there.
And just right there. And, you know, there were shuttles that were going back and forth, free shuttles that were going back and forth from the gondola to the trail. What do we call it? Trail center? Trail. Yeah. Anyway, to the village.
Yeah, the village.
And so I think I know we keep coming back to this, but it's just, it was just such a well done event where you can really make an entire weekend out of it. So it's not just get out there, run the race and leave, which some people did. But I think for most, it was an experience, right? To turn it into a vacation, a family vacation or whatever it might've been. So plus it's not super busy because it's not ski season. Yeah,
exactly. And everybody in town, like I met a few of the locals and their dogs, because everybody has a dog there too, very much Colorado like. But they were just so happy to see like their village was full, like the energy that was there. Like it was a very positive vibe. And a couple people said like Tim's like a mayor. He's like the mayor of Mammoth around there, because it's so positively taken, this whole event. And it's not like when we were at UTMB, most people really enjoyed it, but there were some people that absolutely hated it. I could not imagine someone like throwing shame on the Mammoth Trailfest, because it was just so community supported from all the people that we interacted with and talked to even outside of the event. It's just such a great experience overall.
I think one of my favorite things was just, we'd be like in the weeds with all the events and stuff, and, you know, there'd be music going. There was like a DJ a couple of the days, which was awesome. And, you know, everyone's hustling and bustling and just talking to each other. And then like it's so close to the John Muir Trail that you would see like a through hiker would come through and clearly had been in the woods for a substantial amount of time. And they're walking through and just like, where am I?
What's going on?
Like my favorite thing. Because I couldn't imagine like coming out of the woods where like you haven't heard a person's voice in however long, and then all of a sudden you're just in like basically an outdoor shopping mall.
Totally. Even outdoor rave almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we did experience one of those.
Fun. Yeah, well, We sure did.
We did. But okay, so to be fair, we tried to do everything that was really on the list. Like there was movie night,
Yeah.
there was trivia night, all like the spaces were filled even when there wasn't a race going. And so that's
Yeah.
a really cool thing. And then after the 26K, an amazing display of like just people doing a really awesome thing, going up and down a mountain, whether that was their 100th time or their first time. Like it was just fun the whole time. And then as everything started winding down, the cutoff happened. They did some awards. You can just feel like the weekend's coming to an end. Like everything's just kind of folding in on itself. Tim and Billy and Hillary's heads start hanging a little lower. Like you can tell like it's all setting in. And then bam, this was on our schedule too. It's called Trailfest After Dark, which we thought it was maybe something else, which we'll get to that a little bit here soon. But really, Trailfest After Dark means this unsanctioned beer mile.
Yes. Oh my gosh, cannot forget that. And at first, we walked up, and first of all, I wanted Taylor to do it, but he didn't do it.
Well, you knew how I was feeling. Plus the amount
I knew
of,
you were
like,
feeling and how you fared after the one at Western States. So probably wasn't.
didn't
I didn't
want
need to
to
be holding
handle
your
me.
hair.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no. And speaking of holding your hair, you got a haircut as well.
Oh yeah, I mean that's another one of those.
I got one too. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got
You wanna show
haircuts. That Kraft had a haircut. Had like this sick
Freddie.
barber. Was it Freddie Cuts Hair?
Freddie cuts hair. Freddie cuts my hair. It was my first haircut in 15 years.
It was his first haircut in 48 years. You know, it was wild.
48. I think it was 48 years. Yeah, sorry. But yeah.
But
I mean,
anyway, so
everything was
the beer
fun.
mile.
Yeah.
So the beer mile. And, you know, at first there were probably only like 2 or 3 teams there. And we're like, it's going to be okay. And like 5
everybody's
minutes
bringing their own
beforehand.
beer. Like,
And like
we
5
had
minutes
no idea this
beforehand,
was
there were
going
like,
on, but some people obviously knew this was going on.
yeah, there were like probably 30 or 40 people that were in it. And
Yeah.
it was hysterical. Oh my God. It was so funny. Like yes, people were crushing it or whatever, but the amount of attrition that was taking place,
Because everybody
There
was
was a
so
lot of-
tanked otherwise.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
at Western States, it like kicks off everything
Yeah.
pretty much that day. And so like it's easy to get into that mindset. Everybody's hyped, the energy's there, but this is when the energy isn't there and they brought it. And like that was so fun because not only every beer got them every lap, but like you could just tell everything was waning. But some crushers in there for sure. There were some craft athletes all the way from Sweden. And then, I mean, there was an athlete. I can't remember the winner's name, but which was a woman.
Was it Elsa? I can't remember what her name was, but yeah, she just graduated from Harvard.
Yeah.
And was on the Harvard track and cross country program, and
Do you know how that went?
Yeah, she did pretty well.
Yeah. And she ran. No, she didn't run the 50K. I wonder if she ran a different race.
She ran the
around
26K that day. Yeah, and she was in a full Nike like Team USA bodysuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was pretty fun. So yeah, she won, and then the DFLs were just as fun because everybody made like a human tunnel with their hands up and had them run through, and they were just so excited. And yeah, it was a really fun time. People were struggling though, for sure, more than I've seen at most other beer miles. So
definitely, yeah. And some people definitely got yacked on. Just spraying everywhere. I don't think for those Swedish athletes that were there, this is a very American thing, obviously, a beer mile. Who else is doing something this stupid? And fun. But yeah, they had a hard time keeping it in. I think both of them.
They sure did.
Let it go.
That was pretty fun. I wasn't videoing any of that, thankfully, but I have some pretty epic photos that'll probably make the cut.
I hope so.
Yeah. So it was a great way to unofficially close the weekend out. And, you know, it was kind of nice because there was a team, and it was, you know, Katie Asmuth and Hillary and Billy Yang Tim didn't run it, and I forget who their fourth was, but it was just fun to see them kind
I
of
wonder
be
if
able
it
to
was
let loose.
Katie's husband, maybe.
I want to say his name was
Maybe
like
not.
John or something. I can't remember. But
Sure.
Anyway,
Sorry,
yeah, sure.
other guy.
Let's say John. Jim. Yeah, sorry, dude. You're probably a really important person, and I just never introduced myself to you. But yeah, like they were going crazy too, and yeah, it was pretty fun. So
And then while we were there, like everybody was packing up, they were giving the unofficial awards because they wanted to make sure this was unsanctioned. We got a little you got a little invite to this little party, which I just assumed again was Trailfest After Dark, and it looked like a very official.
that's what the invitation said. It said Trailfest After Dark. So
It
I
did?
thought that it was part of yes.
Yeah,
that's
so
what
we
the
went to
thing.
everything on this list, which ended up being a fun time, but
Yeah.
it ended up
Yeah.
just being a backyard little dance fest at Rod Farvard's house.
Yeah, we didn't have that one on my bingo card this year,
No.
but
I was
Yeah,
ready to
there
go
was
to
a
bed,
little-
and then we end up
yeah.
walking more than a half mile. Let me say, they said it was going to be a
It
half
was more
mile
than a
away.
half mile. It was like a
And-
mile, like 1.25 miles. Yeah.
But I feel like everybody says that when they don't really know how far it is. Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
a half mile.
It's about a half mile. Yeah. No,
Yeah, we walked for a while. Thanks, Rod. Thanks.
We did. Yeah, appreciate that. But yeah, so we got to have a little dance party, and I was playing with those like light up ball things.
Yeah, you can
They're
definitely
called,
tell
like,
that Rod
poi
likes
balls?
to host
Poi
a party.
balls?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
The
only
DJ,
like,
the same DJ was there that
Yeah.
was playing at the
Full
Trailfest, and he
setup.
was crushing it. Oh my gosh, he put on such a good set, and like I'm like we're in the backyard right
of a little mountain community.
of a little
A girl going across on the zip line next door when we first got there.
yeah.
But I
yeah.
mean, to be fair, this was like 7:45 at night. Sun was just
Yeah, it
going
was-
down, maybe.
Like
some
when we
great
called it a night,
pizza,
it was like 10
drinks.
o'clock. We thought it was like 2 a.m.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
we
and
gotta
this-
head out of here.
Yeah.
It was like 9. But they're like, all right, we're gonna leave by 9. Okay.
Yeah. But then more people, and I figured, at Rod Farvard's party, it'd just be like runner after runner showing up, and still in the train of thought of like, this is Trailfest After Dark, a sanctioned event, But it wasn't. Again, it was just, he had this really cool, like fuzzy leopard jacket on. You can tell he enjoys doing this and had food and drink and all of his friends that probably weren't runners and some that were, like Danny Moreno was there. You and Danny were, doing the whole, I don't even know what they are. You guys both have hidden talents. I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are those
and
things?
Then they were called like I think poi balls or that's what the guy was explaining to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were there. Mount Coast athlete Sierra and her partner Joe were there. We kind of hung out with them most
Shout
of the
out,
time,
Joe.
which was fun. Yeah, shout out Joe. Shout out Sierra and her incredible baton twirling dances. That was pretty fun. But yeah, and that was a nice little way to end the weekend.
Well,
so to
I do want to
speak.
say the experience I never had in high school, because I'd rather just play video game or something like that at home. Now knowing that I'm an introvert, that's probably why. But I never went to these parties. Maybe I just wasn't invited either. Is this going to turn into a different podcast now?
Yeah.
But
So Taylor,
anyway,
how does that make you feel?
But a cop definitely busted the party. We were being a little too loud and rowdy. But
And by we, I mean it was like a full speaker setup, and this it was.
it was getting past some of those retirees' bedtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was loud. It was fun, and appreciate the invite, even though it's not my normal cup of tea. But the cop, when he came, he's like, "What was that track you were slinging? Like, I really like that one." Like, she was really cool about it. Just bring down the bass a little bit, maybe move it inside. Like,
I imagine that's how most Mammoth cops are, if I had to guess, because it's probably not the first and will not be the last time. In the next, it probably happened the next night at a different house somewhere. It's just that time, that kind of
at
town.
Rod's again. Rod's backyard needs to become some sort of segment somewhere.
Yeah, Rod's backyard.
Rod's backyard. But no, it really was a good way to like finish out that weekend.
Some warm PBRs and some barbecue chicken pizza.
What really is better? I had 3 beers that night, just really let it loose.
Dang.
Yeah. But we did have a nice walk back in the dark.
We
only
did.
half mile, right?
Yeah, only half mile. And, we stayed up until forever.
Did the whole dorm room talk.
Oh my God.
Pillow talk.
It was like we talked about life and just, man, we got philosophical. It was just, I think we were both just so tired and just a little buzzed, and it was just let's just talk about our entire lives and unpack all of this stuff. Right now, this is the perfect time to do that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And we did it. And
again, to your point, we thought it was 2:30 in the morning, but it was 10:30, which was perfect.
Yeah. It was, yeah. So what a nice.
The next day we said our goodbyes and are still coming down from that high.
Sure, yeah. I landed. My flight left San Francisco at 11:10, and I landed here in Raleigh at 7:30 a.m. And I worked from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at my actual job, and so. Yeah, it's been a little bit difficult getting caught up on sleep, especially with just editing and everything, but it's allowed me to kind of still hold on to the excellence that was this weekend and just the experience overall. And just, I really want to do a little bit more unpacking, because I feel with big trips like this, it's really hard. Plus it was on the back end of a road trip for me. That was an 11-day vacation I was coming off of. So it's been a lot to even attempt to unpack, but honestly I just felt like it was a really great step in the right direction for the trail community, for the impact that that Believe in the Run had and the Dirt Division had on the event itself, and just showing up and being present and just being able to kind of mingle. Every time we would go somewhere, I would have to grab you and be like, hey, we got dinner reservations, and you'd stop and talk to 15 people, and it was just great. I could tell you were in your element. Or we ran into one of the fans of the podcast. What was his name? Not Connor. What was his name?
He was the really first person. Names. Yeah,
dude. Oh, geez. Carson? No. Anyway,
Carson. It is Carson. Okay,
it is Carson. Okay.
Well, you should have just said Carson, because.
Well, I did. Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. But so it was just cool to see,
because he did the. We met him first at Broken Arrow a few years ago, a fan, and really appreciate him, and so we chatted the first night, and then we saw him every day after that, because he was doing Triple Crown and crushed it, and so it's just fun. It really is just one of those events you get to see people that it's like a little family gathering almost every single time. And that's what I love about trail events in general, but Mammoth is doing that in a really special way. And even unique in terms of, it just, I don't know. It's just Trailfest, right? There's a lot of hype around it. And it's rightfully so. If you can get to Trailfest for one of the races, all of the races, bring your family just to spectate, because there are some people there doing that too, of just being around the event. It's just one of those that feels inclusive in all the best ways. And there's just such a great event. So thank you, Kraft, for having us out there, and Tim for all the accommodations and the great hugs, and Billy and Hillary, who are also putting it on, and they're continuing to go on to throw on this even larger event, the Mammoth 200, which that has to be a different podcast. So just crazy.
But super thankful. Shout out Thomas for mentioning this at Western States, and happy to have joined with you, Taylor, of course. They had just gotten off their long trip over at Tokyo at Worlds, so I don't think that it would have been very conducive for them to show up to this tiny little mountain town after being in Tokyo for however many days that was. So
I'm just going to say it worked out how it needed to work out this year. So I'm glad it
sure did.
Worked out this way. So thank you, Justin, for coming. It was a great weekend, just because we got to be bros together out there. Never mind the fact everything else that's going on. It was just like a great weekend all the way around.
Yeah, it really was. And, you know, personally too, just, you know, being able to meet your family, and you shacked me up the last night before we traveled to Mammoth, and just, you know, showed me around
the best photos ever.
Little town. Yep. We got some good photos of your family, but, yeah, just from a personal level, that was just also really nice. And I know I shared that with you, either our first or second night. And then we said there's no crying at Trailfest. Yeah,
but there was a lot, so it's fine.
There was a little bit.
Not from us, but we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we didn't cry. Not at all.
No. Not with our
Cool.
matching hats at all.
No.
Okay. Well, Justin, thanks for unpacking. We shall do this again sometime.
I would really like that, Taylor. And thanks for, you know, everything, man. And for being such an incredible person, and for being such an advocate for the trail space, and for being able to do so in an authentic and genuine way. It was really special.
I don't
to
need
watch
to
you
cry
do that.
on another podcast, okay?
No, it's fine. No,
Just
you're
stop.
going to.
Just stop. Thank you, though.
Okay. All right.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Give a good stretch, got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna tuck run, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop. D-R-O-P.